Well, here I am again. Hey, do you guys already know what that is? Check it out. That is Birds of Fire, a live version of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, recorded somewhere around, I can't really make this out. It's a live version. I'm going to kill that, and I'm going to talk to you guys about something that I think is really fantastic. Jeff Indike here, by the way. You know, I want to call these little thing anecdotes, or Jeff Indike Unplugged. Many years ago, right, my partner in crime and my really long-lost, fantastic friend Laurie filmed some shows of me called Unplugged. Though we aired them for a little while, I never really put them on. Most of the shows now that I have on are just Drum Evolution and the Jeff Indike Drum Education Show. Maybe one day, you know, when I start to get more associated, right, with being able to, you know, send shows in electronically, maybe I'll get a time slot on one of those shows, because there were a few of them that were really cool. But it was basically built off of the premise of different stories that I would tell in reference to my experience with drumming and education. You know, and you guys and girls right out there could pick up some really great ideas. So today's little topic is going to be called the suggestapedic secret. And it's based off of an article which I wrote. Actually, I really did write this article at one time. I think it might have even been published in one of the drum magazines some years back, but I don't recall. The article, unfortunately, right, was lost. But the cool thing about it is everything, right, a lot of stuff, right, that is always lost, always still remains in my mind. So I can tell you guys about it, what the concept was. Years ago, I still have one remaining tape, which I had made, which I want to call Suggestapedic Drum Solo Tape. It was basically built off of this premise of philosophy in terms of studying drum solos of great drummers. You know, some of the greatest drum soloists of all time, and that'll be another seminar, another topic that I'll talk about, but one of the guys that probably was one of my favorite drum soloists was Buddy Rich. Many years back, it must have been, I don't know how many years ago, I recorded a couple of Buddy Rich drum solos on a tape. The first one was the opening solo to Midnight Cowboy. I don't know if you guys remember, it was a short little drum solo. I don't know how many measures it was. It couldn't have been much more, right, than like maybe 8 measures. I can't really remember it exactly, but sometimes I sort of copy some of the phrasings. But what I did, and then the other solo, right, that I had recorded was the West Side Story solo. The one in the original West Side Story recorded. That was the one that Buddy Rich first recorded it, because he recorded West Side Story a couple of times. It's also tooled around on a lot of footage, but that first solo on the record was a really, really good solo. And so I had it recorded. But what I decided to do on it was like probably a 45-minute tape. In the days of cassette tapes, maybe it was a 60-minute tape. On each side, I had like a high-speed tape machine. You know, those were the days when they had the high-speed tape recorders where you can dub from one deck to another. Believe it or not, I still have one. And they come in handy. It's almost like a duplicator. So what I did was I transferred the solo from one tape to the other, but I did it over and over again. So I literally filled up, I guess, about a 30-minute tape, 30 minutes of time, of this solo playing over and over again. It was the same solo. And on the other side, I used the West Side Story song over and over again. And then what I did was in my spare time, like when I was, waking up in the morning, driving a ride to a lesson, going to a reporting session, going to the doctor's office, wherever I happened to be roaming around. I had a Walkman at that time, where I always would carry around a portable tape machine. Just to burn those things out, but anyway, and so what I would do is, as I was doing whatever I was doing, I would listen, sort of not like really paying attention, but just listen to the solos over and over again. What happened as a result of that sort of listening is I began to it wasn't really to memorize the solo, because I never would really want to play any of Buddy Rich's solos note per note. Well, I wouldn't be able to do it anyway, right? Because there are some things that Buddy did that I never was able to technically accomplish anyway. Buddy Rich was probably one of the fastest drummers of all time, and I'm not one of the fastest drummers of all time. Though I can hold my own behind the drum set. And there are some films of me back up on YouTube when I was playing with Visions. That's when I was a little bit younger. I could move. I could definitely move. But I don't know if I was ever as fast. I was never as fast as Buddy Rich. But in any event, I started listening to these tapes, and I called it suggestapedic because of the fact that it was I figured it was I was subconsciously listening to the drum things over and over again. Not listening, not paying attention, but they were in the background. I don't like the quiet, so I always have music going on somewhere. Either music or something of a motivational nature. I don't like the quiet. I think what happens is when it's quiet, I start listening to the messages in my brain. And if you guys know me, sometimes those messages aren't very good. But anyway, most of them are good. So as a result of that, I made a few other ones. I had a carbon one. I think it was a crosswind solo. Where we solos over that vamp. And there might have been a few other ones. Oh yeah, the Weckel solo. The original Weckel solo on the first Contemporary Music +1. So what happened was, as a result of listening to these things over and over again without paying much attention, I started to become kind of influenced from listening and started picking up bits and pieces of the solo. Though I never really copied the solo, I kind of could play the essence of different phrasings of the solo. And that's kind of cool. And then I might have written down a couple of things, because I did some, back in the day when I was writing different transcriptions, and it was pretty cool. So what I'm suggesting to you guys is if there are certain drum solos or certain arrangements that you really want to get a good understanding of, if you listen to them over and over again, that would be more likely to happen, rather than listen to the solos once in a while. And it was pretty cool. So that's basically it. And I called it the Suggestapedic Secret. And even up to this day, I still run the tapes once in a while. We'll only have one left. The only one that remained left was the Buddy Rich solo, the West Side Story solo, and I think to keep the customer satisfied. So with that in mind, try that out with any of your favorite drum solos. Last final thing, what I like to do, and I did this in a lot of my bits and pieces brainstorm tapes back in the day, when I was recording my mailcore stuff, which, by the way, I'm going to eventually re-pull out, because I still have all those masters on CDs, and eventually I'm going to make them available for the public to get. That's a little bit down the road. But on some of those brainstorm tapes, I had this thing about called bits and pieces. And what the premise was is I would take like maybe a one measure or a two measure top phrase from a particular solo or fill, and I would do a transcription of that and then create a brainstorm on it. So I found that by listening to the suggestapedic tapes, which I had mentioned over and over again, I had a lot of ideas in my head. So when it came down to the composing process, where I transcribed it and I wrote it down, I had a wealth of ideas to put down. And then what I did was I took the idea, demonstrated on it. You can see that on some of my YouTube segments, and then expand upon it and combined it with a lot of other styles. And so it really kind of came in handy. And I'd like to do it again. One of the things though, is I kind of prefer right now listening to my work and analyzing that and deciding what stuff is presentable, what stuff's not presentable. I usually put just about everything I do now up on YouTube because I want you guys to see the evolution process of how I'm kind of rebuilding up my playing style again. Because you guys know, I stopped playing for too long of a period of time, and I'm back doing that. So anyway, I hope you guys like the premise. Try it out. Find some of the solos or possibly songs. I think solos is best, and put them on not a cassette tape, but a CD, and then in a computer you could probably program it to run over and over again, and fill a half of a CD with the same solo over and over again. And see what happens. See if it doesn't kind of, spark your brain to get different influence ideas. But not to copy the solo exactly, because, nobody can really, well, there are guys that can copy solos exactly. Well, I'll give you an example of that. I can play the Make Me Smile solo, the one that Danny Serapin did on the original recording, Chicago 2 of Make Me Smile. I could play that solo note per note. I mastered that and thought I could play. But when I do it though, I like to kind of vary it a little bit and then throw some of my own ideas into it. I just did an improv I built off of that a couple of days ago. I'll probably post that somewhere on YouTube. By the way, that's one I didn't have to put on tape to memorize because I had listened to the record so many times, and I played to that record so many times. Thousands of times I played to that record. Eventually I came to memorize the solo, and I'll never forget it. I mentioned when I met Danny Serapin, he played that solo for the audience and he showed everybody how he did it. He kind of broke it down, and it was pretty cool watching him play. Nobody plays it better than him. Only last thing about that solo. Triplet, and then etc., etc. Danny Serapin played that solo one time on the record like that, but the funny thing was, and I don't know why he didn't do that, but when he recorded Make Me Smile live at Carnegie Hall, he played the solo totally different. It didn't sound it wasn't anything like the original solo. And I was kind of disappointed because I was hoping he would have played the solo exactly the way he recorded it, but he didn't do it that day. Maybe he didn't feel like it. I don't know. But I would have preferred to hear it as it was. Some bands are different, where they do more improv, and I guess Danny was more of an improviser, rather than playing the parts exact. But that's my take on it, and I hope you guys find it useful. And I'm going to do another one, so I'll come back. Good to be here, and the suggestapedic secret. I hope that you guys found it to be useful. Thanks. Call me if you want for lessons. Email me. You guys can find me. I'm everywhere. In fact, if you open your front door, I'll probably be standing outside playing my drum set. Probably not. I was thinking, what would happen, if I set my drum set up over at the library, and they'd probably throw me out. No, not a good idea. You'd have to be quiet at a library.